So last week we touched upon truth and we hit a little bit on agnosticism and what it means to not know that you know. And Dawkins has a specific view on those people who claim to have a 50-50 agnostic view. You and I talked last week about how that seems to be more of a rational or a more of an honest view rather than the hard line agnostic where you're talking about the global agnostic who thinks, you know, you can't know. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I think he thinks there are, if apart from any reasons, if you just ask the question, is there a God? And you have no reasons one way or the other, then I guess it would be like a 50-50. But he thinks he has good reasons, not like necessary conclusions, right? Like, of necessity, there is no God. But he thinks he has good enough reasons to think there probably is no God. And I think, especially coming from a scientific perspective, that makes sense, right? Because there's a lot of things in science where, in fact, most things in science really are probabilistic. It's like, we have a probability of the X event happening based on our observations prior to that event happening, and there's some regularity and repeatability to that. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty consistent with the scientific method and his way of viewing the kinds of conclusions that we can come to and our degree of certainty that we can have of them. And I don't think that's actually all that unreasonable. Uh, I think the claim that there definitely is no God, you'd have to have some kind of claim that God is necessarily incoherent, like
Mm-hmm.
like necessarily he can't exist. This is or there's some kind of logical contradiction entailed in affirming the proposition God exists. And that's a pretty hard thing to find, and yeah, I don't think he's found. I think he would admit that he hasn't found that, but I think he thinks he's got good enough reasons to think, yeah, this kind of God doesn't exist.
Okay.
So,
Well, yeah, we can
yeah,
give him that. I mean, if he doesn't see the evidence, he doesn't see the evidence.
yeah. What do you think of his claim?
Um, See, that's the thing is agnosticism. I mean, it seems to be an easy way out because obviously you're limited in your knowledge and what you can do, what you can know, and what you can't know. And we're all. I think all of us can just rest in agnosticism, and that I feel like that's an easy way. I think that's an easy out because we don't have to make any decisions on anything. We just could throw our hands up in the air and say, "Well, I just don't know." But I don't think he's like that. I think he's exploring. But I think you can easily remove yourself from what the creator wants if you can just claim that the creator's not there, and you don't know he's there.
Hmm.
I think it's the easy way out. I think.
Hmm. Because Dawkins sees himself as being this sort of hero, you know, uh, at least it seems to. This this strong hero type figure who's stands in the face of the multitudes of sheep who believe in religion to advocate for reason and science and this and a bettering of society by those means.
Yeah. I mean, and to many in that community, I think he is a hero. So
Hmm.
he's a very articulate person who knows what he's talking about, and can express it in a very coherent and very rational way.
Yeah, and his rhetoric is very convincing. I think that's something that's very that's notable about the new atheists. Sam Harris, Daniel Dennett, Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens. They're very good rhetorically. I mean, if you don't have a solid grounding in Christian theism, it's very easy to just listen to them and be persuaded.
I mean, of all the history of Christianity and the major figures in Christian history who are intellectual giants, you know,
Yeah.
and you basically say you are more intelligent then name a theist that is a superstar. You know, I just don't get it. How we can even say that.
Yeah, right. Like, does Alvin Plantinga just need that uh, psychological crutch? Is that's why he believes it, really? Or Thomas Aquinas? Or
Yeah.
no, like that's so ridiculously uncharitable. It's hard. It should be laughable. I mean, to just make out Neil deGrasse Tyson does something like this too in the Cosmos series. This super oversimplified narrative of religious history, face to face with science, and basically science is this champion and religion is this villain, and it's almost that simple of a narrative. So you can see though why it's accepted. It's a very simple narrative. It's very makes for great propaganda.
Yeah. And I think too, if you look at like I said, the historical accounts of, I touched upon this in our last podcast,
Hmm.
the fact that who came up with the scientific method, who discovered the Big Bang, who's the father of genetics. These are all Christians for the most part, believing.
He's standing on the shoulders of the people who he's calling, you know, modern day Neanderthals.